So I've been watching or trying to catch up on some of these Charlie Kirk murder videos and trying to diagnose what seems to be going on there. I'm trying to just entertain the different viewpoints, and one of the questions that I have with the I'm following the reasoning of the John Bray, and it does seem peculiar, like that. It doesn't seem like a typical gunshot wound. There are other behavioral dynamics with the body. It does seem like it could be associated with whatever's going on there with the with this mic. And seeing the other picture where there seems to be this protected area, like this rectangular area under the nipple, but it's not quite in the area where the mic would be. It looks like the mic would be higher. It makes you wonder, why was there that, did he have a patch there? Because initially I was thinking, did he just have it covered so that the mic wouldn't be touching his skin? Just so it wouldn't be like rubbing or irritating or even like cold on the skin. But then it looks like the patch would have been underneath though, and the mic was higher. So I don't know. Could that be some separate incident? Anyway, I haven't followed everything exhaustively. It's taken a little while in between things to catch up on the reasoning, I guess. But there's another question I had about if there was an explosion under the shirt and it was supposed to be strong enough to replicate a wound in the chest area, then why wasn't, so I guess the question is, what was supposed to happen, right? Was it supposed to be this replicated wound there? There were too many odds against a straight shot hitting the target and making sure and ensuring that it was achieved, and so it produces the appearance of a gunshot wound, but ensuring that the gunshot wound happens by some kind of like explosive device. And then people will ask so trying to understand that reasoning. And then in the event though so if it was an explosive device, why isn't there any rips or tears or anything to the shirt? And so then maybe some of the reasoning could be it didn't go off right. It malfunctioned. And so maybe it wasn't at optimal power. So then the question is, if it malfunctioned underneath the shirt and kind of like shot off to the side, and then we see this movement under the shirt, and then it kind of tangles in this direction with the collar, and then like directs it to like hit the neck with, it's still just this question of, if it was strong enough to penetrate the neck, why wasn't it strong enough to just tear in that trajectory of the shirt? And so, but I can see the reasoning with whatever this projectile, the shrapnel that shoots off to the side, whatever seems to be going on there does seem directed toward where that wound is. There does seem to be some kind of like connection there to that interference or that pattern of energy, because then you see it come down and then you see that's where the wound is. And it seems to be with this energy of whatever's going on under the shirt in relation to that microphone. But then you see these other patterns, right? And so then I was wondering, and I don't know enough to say, but this other character, and I'm not exactly agreeing with him. I don't really know what his full reasoning is, but it does make you think, like, he was saying it looked like something else separated. So, this was kind of what I was wondering. And I don't know, like, so it leaves me with these questions. You see the magnet on the outside that stays put, and the magnet stays put in relation to the clip. But what the other guy was saying, and I don't know about the rest of his argument, but the one part that I had kind of wondered was, does the other part of the microphone come apart though? Does it separate? It almost, so one of the questions is, would something detonate with like too quick detonation or like explosions? Could it initiate something very rapid where, because we see this almost like gas type shock wave or whatever it is, and then so there almost seems like a two section explosion if you look at it in slow motion. And I haven't followed enough of the footage, but it seems like it. There almost seems like a boom, boom, but just very like so fast though that it almost just seems together. And when you look at it in slow motion, so I guess what I'm wondering is that a malfunction, or do some things detonate like that? Because what it seems like is there's like an initial quick separation that does this shock wave thing, and then the shock wave, so like the magnet and the clip stay together, and that's what we see. And then people assume that the microphone is still there, like the rest of the device, and maybe cracked or something, and then it shoots out the shrapnel, and it's just the shrapnel that goes up and hits the neck. But what I'm wondering is, and I don't know yet, I'm just thinking, because my question is, why is it not powerful enough to like shoot and pierce through the t-shirt if it's powerful enough to kind of like injure his neck to that degree? And so here's what I'm wondering, I guess, is people are saying, are you suggesting that something is like shooting out, like I forget what that's called now, shape charge or something like that? So I guess what I'm wondering is, was it supposed to implode in? So was it supposed to like burst through his chest to make it look like he's punctured, right? Like a shot, and then you hear the shot fire, and then it looks, was it supposed to like burst through his chest? So like boom, one-sided. They don't want a huge explosion. So here's the thing of some of those devices, I guess, that they're talking about, is that it somehow or another like directs the charge, I suppose. I don't know enough about this to say, which would kind of make sense if you're wanting it to look like a chest wound. You'd want it to be directed in so that it explodes in, but you don't want it to explode everywhere to where it's like an obvious explosion and then like hit other people, because then it would be like, oh, this isn't a gunshot wound, this is like a explosion, or whatever. But then you also, in thinking that, you could also gauge so you want it to be like directed, right, a certain direction. So then my question is there a certain material that directs the buffering, I guess, or whatever the wording is that associated with that other material that we found that directs, so like the intensity would be directed toward like inward instead of just in all directions. Anyway, that's a kind of a question, I guess. And if it was intended if it was developed in a way where it's directed towards the chest, And that's the mechanism, right? And if there was like an initial occurrence, like the shock wave or whatever the thing is, like if there was some other thing that detonates initially and then the other thing detonates, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying here. But anyway, okay, what's my line of reasoning here? My mind is tired. I had a peculiar evening, and so I'm just trying to wrap up these ideas. What it looks like is possibly if there was like an initial something, because like I said, it seemed like there's like a 2-stage, like doom, doom, right? Whatever the initial shockwave, whatever that was, could that have been where it separates, so it still has the magnet and the clip, but could the other portions of the device have shot, like separated, and so then it gets this like momentum and it caused it to separate, and so it like flies up when we see it fly up, the whole like square, the whole mic, not the clips, because we see the magnet and the clip, but just separated from the clip, and so it looks like the mic is still on his shirt, but it's just the clip and the magnet. Could it be the microphone actually shoots up? I mean, the microphone, the square thing is what like shoots up, and then since it's built to do a one direct like explosion or whatever, could it be that the side of it that is on the t-shirt side is the side that's the buffer that's not supposed to explode? It's directed in, so the thing, the square, shoots up to the side. We see it in the shirt, possibly, maybe, I don't know, I'm just and then it somehow has a secondary detonation. I don't even know if they can do that. I don't know. Like, the thing just seems to have malfunctioned and not worked the way it was supposed to be. So I don't know. Whatever the first initial thing is, the shockwave thing causes it to separate. It shoots up to the side under the shirt, the back side of it that's not supposed to explode because it's supposed to be a directional explosion, doesn't penetrate through the shirt, and then actually, since it's up there, breaks out toward the neck, and then we see the shrapnel come out, and then that's what like hits the neck. So it does kind of like detonate, but maybe not to its like optimal, like, because it's like malfunctioning. So we see like the when it detonates, since it's already broken, it pushes the shrapnel. So you see that part of it broken, direct that way, and then we see like that shockwave through the shirt. If so, I don't know. I was kind of thinking, I don't know. I'm just thinking. Because then, I guess, me not knowing enough about these devices or mechanisms, but trying to follow the reasoning of it, it sort of makes sense to me, because then I'm like, okay, that's why it's like strong enough to like almost, because you see when that device does fly up, it almost does seem like a little bit of like a shooting mechanism, not shooting, but explosive mechanism. But that could also just be the jolt of like the pressure of the shrapnel functioning as like a shot, because shrapnel can have that much high power. But I guess what I'm thinking there is it makes more sense in my reasoning that the shrapnel would be exploding out from something that's created to be a buffer, and that's why it functions as more one-sided toward the neck, rather than bursting out in that same power trajectory through the shirt. or even not even really affecting the shirt. But even if that's the case, if they intended for it to look like a bullet wound, there would have to be some level of, I don't know. The whole thing is just kind of weird. Like, the more you see it, it's like, this doesn't look like a rifle shot. Just the whole thing is so weird. I don't know if I even explained that right. I'll have to sleep on it. Like I said, I'm tired, and the evening ended up being a peculiar situation, and so my mind is just like, I don't know what I'm trying to articulate some things here.